I wanted to talk a bit about agents, and everything I'm going to talk about in this video is currently working. It's not hypothetical or goals, it's how it's set up right now. I've talked about this stuff before, but every time I felt like I didn't really get the point across, and it felt like just people weren't responding to it very well, and I think it wasn't explained very well. Because when I explained it in more detail to individuals, they were much more interested. So LaFondy has agents and packages. And this is the rundown. They both include files, but agents are injectable and packages are not. And agents can access the contents of packages, and other packages can access the contents of other packages. So let's illustrate this with an example of some things. So we have Alice and Bob, and they both want to make food agents. And they both name their agents the same thing. They name the sprite files the same thing, they name the sound files the same thing. So they both have crunch.wave, they both have food sprite. So what happens here? Well, LaFondy does not extract the files before using them. It uses them from inside the agent files. So this is alright. This is A-okay. His agent will use his stuff, her agent will use her stuff. They will not use each other's stuff. They will not get confused. So let's say now Carol makes her own agent, but instead of including her own sound file for eating it, she wants to use Bob's. This doesn't work. LaFondy says, I can't locate that resource because it's in someone else's agent. But let's say instead Bob made a package, here represented by a green box. And the package contains the crunch sound. And now his agent can reference this package, and her agent can reference this package, and they can find the files. So while in Creatures, if you wanted to use something from someone else's agent, you need to ask permission. And LaFondy has been much streamlined, so if it's an agent, the answer is no. If it's in a package, the answer is yes. In regards to permission. So let's say that Carol makes this complex agent. And her agent contains nothing at all. Everything's in the package. So the package contains the script, the machine sprite, the cheese sprite, the dispenser sound, and it references Bob's food sound. But as you can see, the script and such are private resources represented by the private label and the dark box. There's no public resources at all, like how Bob's had the public crunch sound, and she has this API exposed. So someone that uses the package can use this API and call these functions. So now Alice wants to make her own thing, and she's imagining this machine that's Carol's machine, but it makes tomatoes. So she makes her tomato agent, and she's trying to use Bob's crunch sound and Carol's dispenser and machine. But LaFondy says I can't find those things. And it can't find the crunch sound because Carol referenced it, the package, but Alice didn't. Alice needs to explicitly specify that she wants the food sound package. And the reason for this is that the agent injector will list which packages are being referenced by the agent. So it knows that this package is using resources from someone else, and it'll tell you either it doesn't have the necessary packages or that it just credits for who made it. But it can't be very specific with that because it knows that a package was referenced but not what was used from it. It can't say, well, sound was from this package. It just knows this package was used. So this isn't going to work, is the long and short of it. because the cheese machine has private resources, not public resources. But Carol exposed that API. So if Alice sets up her installer like this to use this make machine function and just give it her own agent as to create tomatoes instead of cheeses, it'll work. This will totally work. As you can see, she's explicitly specified that she wants the food sound, and she's using this API, so it's going to work. There's a different approach in LaFondue to creatures. In LaFondue, Lego, there's a different approach to agents in LaFondue and creatures. In LaFondue, I consider agents to be more like a Lego bucket. While in creatures, they're a specific Lego set. And the Lego set may look more appealing, but if you play with Legos, you know that in the long term, the Lego bucket is much more fun. So, in LaFondue, they're made to be mixed and matched. It's assumed that you can have a meta room that installs a bunch of lifts, and the lifts are from a package, and you can change which specific package you're using with a single line of code. Say that instead of DS elevators, you can have C3 elevators if you wanted. It's just a one-liner that'll change all the elevators. So you can have a meta room that can be either like steampunk themed or cyberpunk themed, depending on what the user wants. They can just have a dialog box that says, which version do you want? And same thing with vehicles that also have meta rooms in them. The vehicle can be like a castle, and then if you want that in your meta room, you can just select from this set of castle meta rooms and just add it inside your own room. So what happens if we try this with creatures? With creatures, we can see what happens in Terra. The doors do not match the lighting of the environment. It looks very pasted on. It doesn't look very nice. The plants obviously don't belong. The lighting in the different areas isn't right, and this is why I thought it was so important to get lighting in the game. I don't think it really adds much in terms of just raw gameplay, but in terms of agents like Lego sets, I think it's very, very important to get the lighting to look good, and that's why I'm using a physically based rendering system. So in LaFondue, if this door was here, it would be rendering it as rough metal, and it would know to make it look like metal and it sort of reflect the environment a bit. So that should all work. But this gets worse when we have things like fire, where if I want to add torches, I can't just add torches from some other meta room, like these torches are from the C2 basement cellar, because the background obviously doesn't fit. And this is why I needed particle effects. So LaFondue's really been made for this sort of approach from the ground up. That was my intention. My hope is that instead of the big collaborations people are excited for being meta rooms, it'll be packages, because a package that is a jungle themed package can make any meta room jungle themed, and a package that is forest themed can make any meta room forest themed. So it's more like meta rooms are blank canvases rather than meta rooms are completed projects. That's the goal. So I hope that was understandable.